Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Jon Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Sliding, throwing, touchdown Dallas! C.D. Lamb.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, it's 5 o'clock hour. 5:30, Tweety Carter, former Baylor All-American. He'll join us today on SicEm365 Radio. Jon Machota, so good to have OTAs, mandatory, whatever you want to call them, and he joins us now. And Jon, how much do you get done? What do you watch for? Do you watch for who's taking reps? Do you look for who's not there? Somebody off on the side? Any particular players? How do you handle covering the OTA?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, because when we first get there, that's usually just, kind of taking attendance, making sure everybody's out there, while knowing that, hey, some guys can come out maybe 10, 15 minutes later. So that's usually where it starts at. And then you're kind of at mercy of whatever they decide to do that particular day. And so once they, if they're going to do some team drill stuff and Dak's going to be out there with the ones and things like that, then that's where all your focus is at. And the other thing is too, is where they have us, we're in behind one end zone. So a lot of the stuff the offensive and defensive line does in individual drill wise is all at the far end of the field. So it's a little bit harder to see exactly what's going on there. But generally speaking, this particular year, it's been a lot of watching Dak and just seeing what Dak looks like, how everything's evolving with him and Gallup and C.D. Lamb mainly, because Amari Cooper's been held out because he had a foot surgery in January and won't be back until training camp. So, yeah, it's mainly that stuff. And then the other one that just jumps out at you, you're just constantly find yourself watching Mike Parsons, just because, hey, that's a first-round pick. And it seems like every time you watch that defense, they're moving him around and putting him in different spots. So, yeah, a mixed bag, really. But to answer your question, it really comes down to whatever they choose to do that particular day.
Do you think Randy Gregory will get an extension in the middle of the year if he plays like he did at the end of last year?
I really don't. I think they'll wait till the end of the year, and I honestly think that he will give the Cowboys a team-friendly, discount. I really do. I just think that if everything keeps going in the direction it is right now, I think he's really happy with where he's at. That's not to say that they won't have discussions during the season, but I think if things are going well, I don't think they're going to want to mess with it in the middle of the season. I think they're going to want it to just keep rolling. But I'd be very surprised if, Randy Gregory, even if he had a huge year, was like, all right, see you guys later. I'm going to see if I can get top dollar out on the open market. I really genuinely feel like he really enjoys being with the Cowboys and, feels like his best ball is still ahead of him and he wants that to be with the Dallas Cowboys. And I genuinely think he really likes the teammates he has here and things like that. So, yeah, I guess if it got crazy and you had 10 sacks in the first 7 or 8 games, hey, maybe you see something in the middle of the year because both sides want to get it done or something like that. But talking to Randy the other day when we had him, I didn't really get the feel that it's a big part on his mind. I think he's more focused on whatever he wants to show it on the field, and then all that other stuff will take care of itself. So I just don't get the sense that he's going to be looking for just the absolute biggest deal, no matter what team it is, come the offseason, regardless of how well he plays.
Jon, I saw Dak's comment about being mentally over the injury and that he's going to need some help in getting over that. He's kind of directing that at the media. Do you think the line of questioning changes for him and maybe people get more away from the injury questions, or is that just too big of a storyline to be able to do as a member of the media?
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I can tell you this right. I can tell you this right now. His actions will be what allows it to happen. If he's out there when we get to training camp and he's playing well and he has these, the practices we've gotten to see, then there's no reason to sit there and keep talking about that stuff if he looks like his normal self. But if he's struggling, whether it be on throws that he normally would make, he's not, maybe he doesn't look as mobile, something changes, then it's going to come back to the injury. Like, are you 100%? Are you back? I mean, that's just the way the questioning is going to be. But if he looks like normal Dak Prescott, like we've seen, certainly these last 2 days, then yeah, it'll go away with that. But if there's anything that looks like it's limiting him, or heck, if here's the thing. While he's done just about everything during these OTAs and minicamp, he hasn't done anything with a pass rush. And so there's going to be times once we get out to Oxnard where there's going to be guys that are going to, be near his ankles and rolling around. Now they're not going to be trying to tackle him on the ground, but, accidents happen. There's going to be stuff like that. And then you get in that first preseason game, you'll probably see some action in one of them at least. And, there's going to be a situation where there's somebody around his feet and things like that. And, those are other stepping stones like that you have to see in this process. And obviously he doesn't want to say that to us, that like, well, I still got to see if I can take a hit and things like that. But that's also going to be a part in his mind too. I mean, it's just natural as a human being that, well, I'm interested to see what happens when I take this next hit, because you're not going to get it. I mean, it's not like he's in his backyard at his house getting tackled by guys. It's not like he's out here getting tackled by guys. Like, it's all like a lot of drill work and stuff. So until that stuff happens, you still don't know 100%. But I will say, off what I've seen throughout OTAs these last 2 days of minicamp, he certainly looks back to being the Dak Prescott he was before the injury.
We mentioned we had Danny White on, John, at 4:30 earlier this afternoon, and he was talking about the first time he has to scramble and move to his left, even if he feels good, is it going to force him to maybe change the way he would take on a defender or launch himself in the air or things that made him special, and that's going to happen. And maybe he can just go about doing that, but you wonder if that affects him initially.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of factors like that. And to be honest with you, it's not just him with health-wise. It's like he could have a lot of that stuff and maybe not be 100% back. But if you tell me Tyron Smith's healthy and Lyle Collins is healthy and Zeke's healthy, and then you have Gallup and Amari and CD out there, I don't think and Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz, like there's just so much potential on this offense that I don't even think he has to be playing at a Pro Bowl level for this to be a high scoring machine. So some of that stuff will factor in, particularly late in games, like close games, where it's like, you're going to want to, your body just kind of does what your habits are. You're not thinking, you're just going. And so, yeah, that'll be interesting to monitor and stuff like that. But I just feel like when I look at this team, if they don't have the injury problems that they had last year, this offense it's just got so much potential that I don't even think Dak has to be as absolute best of his best for them to execute on offense. Now, obviously, the defense has to be a lot better.
Connor McGovern played pretty well down the stretch when he finally got playing time at guard when they decided to, kick Zach Martin out. And Connor Williams, obviously, played. He was the only offensive lineman who played the majority of the year. Is this a make or break year for Connor Williams? Do the Cowboys feel good about replacing him if maybe he doesn't live up to that potential as a second-round pick?
Oh, no, this is a big year for him. I mean, everything that I've seen with the ones, he's been out there at left guard. I don't see this being I went into this offseason thinking it'd be kind of a competition between Williams and McGovern, but I don't see that being the case now. They're going to give Williams, every opportunity as long as he's healthy. He's going to be the starting left guard. And so, it's a big year for him, obviously, contract year. And if he plays well, he's another guy. I don't see him trying to get out of here for the absolute highest dollar. Like, I think he'll prefer to continue playing alongside Tyron Smith. And then, as Tyler Biadasz grows in his role, as the starting center in his second year. So, yeah, it's a huge year for him. And it's the fourth year. And so by now, you should be playing some of your best ball. And so, all eyes are going to be on him. And as you guys know, I feel like for this offensive line over the last couple of years, he's been kind of the one that people have, pointed to the most, and pointed out his mistakes more than others just because of some of the situations. And heck, he's had some games and several games where he didn't play well. And so he's kind of been the guy that, if he was on a normal offensive line where there may be some other guys that, weren't all pros or, highly thought about, then maybe the spotlight wouldn't be on him so much. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of eyes on Connor Williams. And if he is to struggle, then they're in a good spot because Connor McGovern looks like he could be a solid player at either of the guard spots or back up at center if needed.
John, I know this is so early to even discuss it. It's June. But other than Dak at quarterback, who is the most irreplaceable player other than him?
That is a good question. I immediately jumped to Tyron Smith. I just think there's a big drop off after Tyron at left tackle. I just don't think that I don't think you'd want to be messing around and moving Lyle Collins over there and then moving Zach Martin out to right tackle and doing all that stuff. Tyron Smith piece is key. And then the other part of it is that if you were to lose him for an entire season or let's say half the season, like I think they'd be fine for a few games with Ty Nsekhe, who they signed, as a free agent swing tackle. But I don't think you want him out there, starting many games. And I also look at Tyron because, with him talking to us the other day about how getting this neck surgery is just helped him so much also with his back. And now he really has this goal of playing, quite a bit longer, 4 or 5 more years. I mean, I just think that losing him would be, it's hard to replace a guy like that and at that big of a position. So that would probably be the one that I jump to immediately because, the wide receivers are talented, but they are in a position where even if one of their wide receivers went down, their wide receiver group is still are really good. Blake Jarwin looked like he was going to be their starting tight end last year, and he was to start the season. He gets hurt, and Dalton Schultz stepped up. So there's actually a little bit of depth there. The linebacker position, they've added a lot of depth there. I guess on defense, the player would be DeMarcus Lawrence because I think he's clearly their most talented defender. But overall, after Dak, it's got to be Tyron.
I know the backup quarterback has been a constant point of consternation, but you could make the argument that it's easier for the quarterback to step in than it would be for somebody to step into Tyron Smith's shoes, given the weapons that quarterback would have. And we saw it a little bit with Andy Dalton last year in that they've got enough weapons to where if you protect him, he can make something happen on offense, as opposed to whenever the Cowboys have lost Tyron Smith, it's like the whole building's on fire.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really think if Tyron Smith is healthy all of last year and, even without Dak, I think the Cowboys end up winning the division. And I don't think they're going very far in the playoffs, but they at least win the division. And instead of being like, a 6-10 team. So yeah, I agree with that. Now, I do think Andy Dalton is without question better than Garrett Gilbert. And so there's a little bit more of a drop off there. Like I think if Garrett Gilbert's your number 3, I think you're really, really good shape. But I still don't know if Dak was to go down and you got to go to Garrett Gilbert 6-7 games, like I just don't think your chances of just like keeping everything going are in great shape. I think you can fill in for a game or two, but I guess the biggest thing I'm getting to is like I've told you guys before, I don't think they're done at quarterback. I really don't. Like I think they're going to be kicking tires and keeping their eyes open. I think Will McClay's going to have his eye on all 31 other rosters to see if guys get caught or there's other opportunities to try guys out. I don't think that I still today I don't think that you can just go ahead and get off the marker and say Garrett Gilbert's the backup quarterback for 2021.
Gardner Minshew, make it happen.
I just realized this. Hey, John, have you received an email from Whitney about training camp credentials, things like that?
I have not. No.
Okay.
They're still going through that process. Like that's, everything points in the direction that they're going to go. But I think that there's still like some, T's to cross and some I's to dot in terms of with the league. But it certainly appears like all systems are go that, they would be out there, who knows, like, July, later end of July, maybe around the 25th, somewhere in there. And then, be out there until, whatever their last preseason game before they come home. So I would say right now, if I'm betting on it, that they're going out to training camp and it'll be, and, obviously things will be different. We're not going to go grab guys coming off the field, but I would say right now that I'm certain. I mean, me personally, I'm planning on going out there.
Yeah, that was we have to decide on what we're going to do. They have the Hall of Fame game in August, and how that it always has interrupted things. But thank you, John. Appreciate your time, Jon Machota. Go to with theathletic.com and the Cowboys on many things, the OTAs, and eventually some of the position battles. Most irreplaceable player. Your thoughts at 254-339-1122, and now Hayden.